It's the Great Lakes Truck Series. Enjoy Illinois 188. We are here for race 6 of season 10 of Great Lakes Truck Series action. My name is Jonathan Oates, and joining me tonight in the broadcast booth is Ross Brockman and producer Jeff Johnson. Ross, Jeff, we got 125 laps ahead of these drivers tonight. What kind of racing are we going to see?
You know, I think this is it's one of our favorite mile and a halves. It's 3 wide, 4 wide. Hopefully we can use all the lanes. I think a lot of times you'll use the bottom to kind of start off the run, but then it won't take long. We'll see people go from the bottom to the middle to the top. We love it. It's the best. It's awesome to be here in Chicagoland.
Yeah, it's been kind of a tumultuous start to this Great Lakes Truck Series. But this setup is not like the setups that we've the mile and a halves in the short tracks so far this season. A lot of drivers acknowledging that tire wear and managing your tires are going to come into play, something we haven't really seen so far this season. So that'll be something to look forward to tonight, guys.
Tire wear handling, multi-groove racing, definitely all going to be a factor tonight. Personally, I'm going to go with you, Jeff. I think tire wear is going to be really important, just being able to maintain speed while keeping your tires under you, but also not being afraid to experiment with different lines. I think a lot of drivers kind of get stuck into a rut of always running the bottom or the middle, but at a track like Chicagoland, you got to be adaptable. You got to be ready to move around. Trucks are rolling. Let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup for tonight's race. Jared Duda, after a rough week last time out in Watkins Glen, has put that number 53 truck on pole alongside the number 71 of Christian Peterson.
On row 2, we've got the number 7 of Hunter Madalinas and the 6 of Jackson.
Row 3, we have Matthew Weeks and last season's champion, Nathan Jump.
Row 4, Shane Neiswanger starts to the inside of Hunter Riddle.
On row 5, you've got the 16 of Jim Duda alongside Ashton Lawson and then 26 of Ashton Lawson coming on the penalty last week at Watkins Glen, guys.
And next up we have the 24 of Tony Manji and then 92 of Michael Senzi.
Dylan Poteet and Matt Durr make up row number 7.
On row 8, we've got William Barbagelata alongside Elliot Henderson.
Row 9, Spencer Owens and the 12 of Zach Henry.
Guys, I believe that's all we're going to have time for. The trucks are already coming off turn number 4, unless we've got another pace lap, but I believe we are just about ready to get rolling here. Got one more?
We've got one more lap. Yeah, I think we've got
one more. All right,
lap.
We can keep going. Great. Back to the starting lineup, starting 19th, row number 10. Terrell Baker, winner at Daytona, starts to the inside of Brett Kinkut.
In 21st, we've got Austin Moore alongside Paul Witt.
Row number 12, we have Gavin Fitzgerald and Nathan Nixon.
Row 13, Trent Curtis starts to the inside of Eric Kepf.
At row 14, starting to get towards the back of the field here, we've got the 3 of Adolfo Delgado starting in 27th alongside Robin Durr. 8th.
Row 15, we have Chris Heller and Preston Henry.
Row 16, the 40 of Nicholas Caressel starts to the inside of the 00 truck, Aiden DuPont.
Back at row 17, we've got the number 64 of Blair Kneebone alongside Lewis McBall.
Row 18, we have Rod Fosna and Jared Darling.
Row 19, Frederick Cremines. Sorry, I still haven't figured that one out. Starts to the inside of James Shiflett, and Evan Snyder in the 93 rounds out the field. Pace truck is pulling us through turns 3 and 4 now. Jared Duda going to lead us off. We are looking at a potential 3-stop race here tonight if we go green all the way. We're happy to have you with us here on Split Second Broadcasting. Pace truck is in. Jared Duda is into the restart zone. We are green at Chicagoland. Lap 1 in the books. Jared Duda leading away with Christian Peterson behind. Behind them, here comes Nathan Jump looking down the inside of Madalinas and Matthew Weeks. They're going to go 3 wide through 1 and 2. Looks like that outside line going to prevail. Jackson Sims pulling away down the back straightaway. Madalinas caught in the middle. He's going to cut him off. We got a crash in the back. Couple of trucks around. Caution is out for the first time tonight. Dylan Poteet among those involved. He is stopped on the back straightaway.
Yeah, there's another truck parked, I think, just off of the track in the grass, maybe. There's a couple more rolling here. It's like Zach Henry's in there.
25 with TCB and the 12 with Zach Henry, yeah.
Well, it didn't take long for things to go wrong. We'll take a look at what happened here in a minute. Looks like the trouble started off of turn number 2 around that 31 of Dylan Poteet. By my look at things, looks like he just got a little loose. Let's take a look at a replay. You'll see it here coming off turn number 2. Poteet gets loose, back up into the 37 of Henderson, and the real trouble starts behind with drivers trying to avoid the crash. Preston Henry among those involved as well. Seems like that's where some of the real issues started. There's just drivers trying to duck out of the way and get out of the way as fast as they could. Terrell Baker really kicked off that chain with that hard left turn. We're on board with Dylan Poteet now. There's the contact. Round he goes.
Yeah, just a little bit, almost a lazy spin for the 31. It looked like he wasn't really expecting his truck to kind of kick out like him like that this early. And that's going to, I don't know if it's going to take anybody out of contention, but it's definitely going to damage some cars, guys.
Yeah, and it looks like Elliot Henderson, look at Nicholas Essel, a couple of these guys that got a little bit of damage should come in and maybe try to fix it. You see Elliot here got just a little bit in the door and got pushed into the wall pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't catch that first time, but you could see TCB didn't really run into the 31. Kind of got caught the 12, making that a avoiding maneuver to avoid him. And I don't know that there's going to be much damage on either one of those trucks. We'll see if TCB hits the inside wall here.
These trucks are they're pretty rigid. It takes a bit of a beating to really take them out of contention. So I think everyone's going to be more or less okay out of that crash, but definitely unfortunate for something like that to happen so early. Kind of the nature of the beast here at Chicagoland. Early on in these runs, you know, you got a wide track, it's fast, a lot of draft going on. It really keeps the field bunched up. So one truck getting loose can spell disaster for a couple of others. But luckily, everybody at the front of the field was able to escape. Jared Duda still leading. It's been a bit of an up and down season for Jared Duda. He's been running at the front quite a bit, but also been involved in quite a couple of incidents. He's here leading again at Chicagoland. We'll see if he can come away with a good finish tonight. Would definitely help after a disappointing run last week at Watkins Glen. Lights are out on the pace truck, so we are going to go back green at this time by.
A little bit of chatter on the radio about that wreck. Not a lot of hurt feelings. It doesn't sound like anybody got too damaged in that wreck. Elliot Henderson might be the worst off, but his truck does not look that worse for the wear. I'd be interested to know how much, if any, damage he had from that. You see a little bit of scuff on the left-hand side, so definitely some damage. But I don't know if that is going to take him out of contention or even out of place to have a good finish.
Definitely hard to tell until you get going how much your damage is going to affect you. A little bit of arrow in the right spot doesn't really make too much of a difference, but a little bit of arrow damage in the wrong spot, you could be in for quite a unfun race going forward. So the pace truck is going to lead us into turn 3 now. Jared Duda has control of the field, pretty much as things were for the initial start of the race. Here we come through turns 3 and 4. Pace truck going to make that left turn in just a second. Christian Peterson alongside Jared Duda. Pace truck is in. Back into the restart zone we go. Let's go ahead and try this one more time. Green flag is back out at Chicagoland. We are back underway. See Hunter Madalinas there giving a big push to Christian Peterson as they go into turn number 1, but it's all Jared Duda alone out front of the field. Everybody else packed up 2 by 2 behind. Never mind, Nathan Jump moving to the bottom. He's going to go 3 wide on Sims and Peterson. Duda getting caught down the back with the draft. Madalinas looking 4 wide, nearly a little bit of contact there in 3 and 4. Peterson loose on the outside, trying to make the move on Jared Duda. So the main stack up is going to be for second as Duda runs away at the front. Still 3 wide between Jump, Sims, and Madalinas.
Yeah, I think 41 and Nathan Jump centered on the bottom, and it it looked like it almost didn't stick like he expected to. He pushed up into that 6 Jackson Sims, and good awareness by everyone to not make an accident out of that. Now as we see take the lead, or Duda.
Big push from Madalinas. That'll push the 71 truck out front. Christian Peterson to the point at Chicagoland. Madalinas and Duda gonna go at it for second as you see Nathan Jump diving low onto the apron there down the front straightaway. Behind them, Ashton Lawson battling it out with Jackson Sims. Gotta wonder if maybe after last week's disappointing loss, Ashton Lawson is racing with a little bit of fire under that hood. As big move by Madalinas to get back in line. Nathan Jump gonna move to the bottom of the racetrack and nearly make contact with the 7 in the 3 and 4. That battle for third.
Yeah, it takes one little bobble or moment, and then next thing you know, you got the guy behind you right on your bumper, and he pulls out the pass. It's hard to kind of get away from each other for the first couple laps on these fresher tires.
Right now, all these guys have fresh tires. Awkward. All these guys have fresh tires. They're all in the draft. Their trucks are handling almost perfectly. So it's really going to be difficult to get any sort of meaningful separation. But I think we're going to see that separation be established as the run goes on. 3 wide battling behind. You see Nathan Nixon caught up in the middle of that fight with Austin Moore looking outside. It's a hornet's nest in the back of the field. Gavin Fitzgerald on the bottom. That 3 wide has Michael Senzi on the outside as they go into turn 1. Now Moore looking to the outside of Nixon. Nixon going to wash up the track, but Moore hangs tough. Now Trent Curtis in the mix. They're 3 wide all the way down the back straightaway going into turn 3.
Lots of comers and goers early in this run. Guys, on these fresh tires. Acquisition might mean more than tires here. Half of this. Interesting how this plays out, guys.
Yeah, we'll really only be able to tell as the run goes on the difference between being aggressive early and playing it more conservative. I'd say ideally you want to find a balance. You want to make sure you're not giving up too much track position, but at the same time you want to make sure that you're saving your tires and you have enough pace at the end of the run. Looking back up towards the front of the field, we got a couple of trucks going at it here in 3 and 4. Jared Duda's leading that pack with Nathan Jump right behind him, but Tony Manji on the outside of Jackson Sims in that 24 truck is getting up into the mix as well. Now here comes Nathan Jump to the bottom of Jared Duda for second. Jump getting a little tight on the bottom. He's going to have a decent run out of turn number 2. That draft, though, is going to be on the outside lane, and it's helping Duda all the way into turn number 3. Wow. Nearly contact as Madalinas pushed the 53. Now Hunter Madalinas, last week's winner, takes advantage of the bobble. He's going to go around the outside of both of them.
Big move by Madalinas there. Kind of got the 53 out of shape and was able to get outside. And I think it's going to pay dividends as both of them for the second spot.
Manji as well going to follow on the high side. That high line, the advantage is that when you're running on the straightaways, being on the outside means that you get draft because realistically there's only so high you can run on each straightaway, so if you're right against that wall, you're in the drafting lane. Tony Manji going to move himself up into third. Good run for him so far. That's a driver that maybe needs a good run. He's had a pretty quiet season so far. Not a great season to this point, but he's running up in third. Good run for him. Behind, you see Nathan Jump looking to the outside of Jared Duda, and further back, you see Ashton Lawson on the outside of Shane Neiswanger. Lawson going to take that spot away from the 49 truck.
Starting to see the field, well, as I say that, we thought we were starting to see the settle out a little, settling into the run. Thinking about where that caution fell, Ross, I'm not sure, this definitely seemed like a 3-stop race from the get-go. But did that early caution really change anything as far as pit strategy?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're going to, a couple of those guys that did pit, they were all fixing damage. And just to update them, that everyone's up to speed. Nobody falling off the pace from that damage. So it's great to see that everybody's still in it. But yeah, I don't think, just a couple laps of extra fuel isn't going to get you to the next window, I don't feel. I think that if we got another caution maybe that split this run in half, then you maybe see some people decide to come in then. But yeah, other than that, I think everybody's kind of on that same strategy.
Already you're seeing a couple of different lines being ran here. We'll take a look what the front of the field does going into turns 3 and 4. I imagine a lot of them are going to be running the bottom, but as you get towards the middle of the field, you see a couple of trucks moving out of line, looking up the track. Ashton Lawson looks to be the first one among them, and then as you get towards the back, everyone is running all over the place from the wall all the way down to the white line. There are a lot of options here at Chicagoland. The question is, which one do you feel most comfortable in? Where can you find clean air? And what is that going to do to your tires? Looking at this battle right here around Chris Heller, that's for the 15th spot. Heller has a big push from Matt Durr going down the back straightaway, but really this group just fans out in the corners. Take a look at all the different lines they're running through 3 and 4. Gavin Fitzgerald in that bright red number 14 is running all the way up against the outside wall and nearly gets a tap from Austin Moore coming out of the corner. We'll ride on board with Fitzgerald now, see what he does in 1 and 2. He's going to go right back up to the wall, not as high as he was in 3 and 4. In fact, this time he's sort of following in the tire tracks of Matt Durr, trying to get around the 92 of Senzi. I believe Senzi might be clear of him here. We're looking back from the 14 now back out front. Take a look at that. All these different lines up for grabs here. A lot of clean air if you can find it. One truck got in the wall. I believe that was the 51 of Trent Curtis in 3 and 4. Curtis off the pace just a little bit. He'll have the 63 of Eric Kepf on his back bumper. Curtis now looking back to the high side on Nathan Nixon. That is for 20th. So there are battles all over this track as Curtis goes back to 1 and 2, sailing in against the wall.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about, and I was talking to some drivers before the race about this, but is this track is kind of penultimate truck series. I think one thing we're going to see as this race progresses and other changes is we're really gonna see this new truck aero update kind of come into effect. I think previously Chicagoland was pretty much all but wide open. And now we're already starting to see it early in the run, even as this track is starting to very subtly cool off. As we're getting into this run, these guys are starting to burn their tires up. You're starting to see some covers and goers. You're starting to tell them these guys can't just full throttle it around the top and the bottom. So there's a little bit of throttle management, the tire management, a little bit of knowing what state and what condition the track is that seems to be coming into play already as we're getting fairly close. I'd say within the next 5 or 10 laps to our first set of pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. Having driven this track before and after the updates to the truck, it is like night and day. The trucks are, in my opinion, so much more fun to drive. You have so much more control over what you do in the car as a driver. They really just feel a little bit more on edge, but still pretty hooked up. It's a really fun balance as Ashton Lawson, sideways in 3 and 4, nearly got into the 41 of Nathan Jump, but as I was saying, these trucks are a lot harder to handle. I think Lawson is showing us that right there, but that does mean that ultimately the drivers get a lot more control, and that means you see a little bit more separation. Battle for second, Jared Duda on the inside of Hunter Madalinas, last week's winner. Duda among those drivers that gave up a little bit of time on the short run. We're starting to see that pay off now as they battle for second down the back straightaway. None of that, though, matters to Christian Peterson. He has a 1.3 second lead and is setting sail at the front of the field. For second, the 53 truck of Duda is clear of Madalinas. He is up in a second, blocking Madalinas all the way up the track, trying to hold on to that spot, but Madalinas ultimately gets back to his right rear quarter panel. We'll see if he can do anything about that in 1 and 2. Look at that run on the high side. Duda got tight on the bottom. I think Madalinas is going to have a huge head of steam down the back. Duda tried to block, but that was all in vain. Move Madalinas back up into second in this hotly contested battle.
Battle's not over yet. You're going to see Duda get the run again off the corner. It looks like Madalinas just kind of overshot. He didn't get the momentum off, and now he might even lose that position. Fast and Lawson. The 41 of Nathan Jump also waiting in the race. And these are some drivers that we heard a little bit of chatter about throughout the week. Ross might be able to elaborate more on them. Drivers that are on, well, Ashton Lawson involved in an on-track incident towards the end of last week's race at Watkins Glen. Racing hard with Hunter Madalinas, and Ashton got dumped without to put it in as nice terms as possible. And these are some drivers that have kind of committed to racing the 7 like they feel he races them, Ross.
Yeah, and I want to make sure the 24 is Manji. I know
you're right. You are absolutely
Lawson
right.
has drove the 24 in the past, so that's why I almost did the same thing. I was like, did I have it wrong? But no, yeah, I am looking forward to, at some point, as it always happens, anybody that has any bit of feud, left over from previous races, seems like they race around each other at some point. And Lawson's not far back from Madalinas here. The both of them running near the top 5. We see Lawson just in the back of this pack here. But it's one of those things. I think they both race really hard, and it'll be really interesting to see if they do have a moment tonight. We've seen it with you can race really hard here and kind of get away with it without having to run into each other, no contact. So it's a great spot to see if anything else boils over from last week.
Yeah, I think as a racing driver, it's definitely hard to forget incidents like what we had at the end of Watkins Glen. But at the same time, I think a lot of these guys just want to move on with their races, want to move on with the championships. So we'll have to see how Lawson and Madalinas race each other if they do end up side by side at some point in this race. Speaking of side by side, Nathan Jump is now looking to the inside of that bright green number 7 truck. Jump, your defending champion and winner earlier this season at Kansas. I bring that up because Kansas and Chicagoland are really not all that dissimilar. Both of them are pretty much wide open mile and a halves that tire wear seems to be a factor in later on in the runs, and additionally they're both fairly multi-groove, so I'd look for Nathan Jump to be a factor in tonight's race. Right now though, he is just looking for third. Madalina's doing a great whoa! Wow. Big block by Nathan Jump. He just threw that on the 56 of Matthew Weeks. Weeks, not eager to lift, is going to stay committed. He goes up the inside of Jump. Jump gets into his right rear quarter panel. There's contact in 3 and 4. More contact down the front straightaway. I don't know what got into these two, but they are not happy with each other.
I'm not sure what was more surprising there, guys. I'm kind of surprised by the move, the 41 of Nathan Jump, and I'm just as equally surprised that the 56 didn't lift. He still sent it in there, and they're still a little bit agitated with each other down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I think these two have a little bit of bad blood that we might not be aware of. That's Matthew Weeks on the inside, another driver that's had a very good season so far, but yet to reach victory lane. He is side by side with Nathan Jump, trying to force him up the track by not running the apron down the front straightaway. In front of them is Hunter Madalinas, and look behind, they're going to go 3 wide almost into turn 1. That was Ashton Lawson looking down the inside of Manji and Sims. He ended up backing out of that, and Matthew Weeks is going to go ahead and take away that spot from Nathan Jump. Jump, though, looks back to the bottom. Weeks pinches him on entry. They're all over each other into 3 and 4. I don't think this is going to end well, guys.
Yeah, if they didn't have bad blood going into this, they definitely have a little bit of animosity towards each other now. That move by Nathan Jump, definitely questionable. You kind of see why Matthew is frustrated because it's really early in the race to be making moves like that.
Definitely early on to be this aggressive, but sometimes that aggression is what you need, especially in this truck, which can be hard to pass with later on in the runs, especially with, I don't want to say how, not easy to drive, but with how much on-throttle time there is, it can be difficult to really build a run. Finally, Matthew Weeks is able to clear the 41 of Nathan Jump for good. He can set his sights on Hunter Madalinas, but that was quite the battle there, and maybe just a preview of what we're going to see for position later on in this race. Definitely not for the lead, though, as update on Christian Peterson, his lead has held steady at 1.7 seconds. Now, Hunter Madalinas is under fire from Matthew Weeks for the third position. Weeks going to look to the inside into 3 and 4. Madalinas has been very, very disciplined, very consistent, and just been staying up by the wall, been hanging that right rear as close as he can to the wall. That might be hurting his tires just a little bit. Matthew Weeks looking down the inside has no problem getting up the inside of the 7 truck as we see our first batch of trucks come down pit road.
I was just about to say, I'm awesome. Starting to wonder when these guys are going to start pitting because, just a lap or two fresh tires can make a difference with the tire run with us.
Yeah, it looks like Paul Witt was on pit road. Jim Duda, Eric Kept, a couple of these guys that are maybe more mid-pack. We got a spin.
Nathan jumps sideways out of turn number 4. He's going to spin it into the grass and lock it down and stop. No caution. We stay going, but a tough break for Nathan Jump, who is running up inside the top 5.
Big moment there for Jump. It looked like he just made a late commitment to the road. I heard him talking in pre-race that people were a little bit surprised by how kind of the entrance to pit road here kind of comes surprises you. There's not really a lot of markers for drivers to use. It'll be interesting to see if anybody else kind of gets bitten, like we've obviously.
Yeah, guys, I took a look at a replay. That was an unforced error by the 41 of Jump. He just tried to bring it to pit road, got caught on the apron as we see Jackson Sims and Will Barbagelata bring it down pit road to their crew. So on lap 35, we see our first batch of pit stops, and that is setting us up nicely for a 3-stop run to the end. But unfortunate for Nathan Jump, a champion making a bit of a rookie error. I hate to say it. Hopefully he can rebound from that later on in the race. No surprises on pit road. Looks like everybody opting for 4 tires and a full tank of fuel. The question now is when your race leader, Christian Peterson, will bring it down. Ashton Lawson down pit road as well. You see Gavin Fitzgerald on pit road as well. So everybody electing to come in just about now. Actually, this does set us up for an interesting run to the end. If we're going about 35 laps on fuel, then we can make it to 70, then past that about 105. So we got a bit of a short run at the end of the race, only 20 laps. I doubt anyone could knock a whole stint off in 2-stop, but I do wonder how people are going to play that last stop of the race. That'll be something that we'll have to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, what's interesting... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ross.
I was just going to say that first run there, we saw anywhere from 1.5 seconds to almost 2 seconds of tire fall off, which if some of these guys that if they can get to pit road 5 to 10 laps earlier than the leader here, that's going to give some traffic to the leader to get back to the lead once they do pit. But it's not a huge difference, as much as 1.5 seconds is when the pack is 10 to 20 seconds large. It's really tough to make up a bunch of positions. But it'll be interesting to see as we kind of had 2 different groups. We had the first group, and now we have another 10 to 12 cars still running.
The undercut versus the overcut is always a conundrum I see on these long-run oval races. I personally always opt for going a little bit longer. I like having fresher tires on the back half of a run, but there's definitely different ways to approach it. It all kind of depends on your own preferences. If we just take a look at Trent Curtis again, he was one of the first drivers to come down pit road, and you can see the speed difference. He is cutting his way through the field. Watch that. He just made easy work of Nicholas Caressel on the outside, so that is what fresh tires can do. A nice little visual representation there. The issue, of course, being that while he's going to jump a bunch of spots now, later on in the run, he will have to pay the price for it. Peterson and Duda, though, are still out on track, and what I think is really interesting about this is that if Peterson and Duda can make it to, I don't know, lap 41, lap 42, that sets them up to go to 84, and at that point, you might be able to make it to the end of the race. Peterson comes down pit road, lap 39, so mark the end of the lead for the 71 truck. Jared Duda is going to inherit the number 1 spot following Peterson's pit stop, and that also means that on the second run of the race, Duda is going to have a slight tire advantage. See how that plays out as we continue to watch Trent Curtis cut through the field like a hot knife through butter. Those fresh tires working out quite nicely for the 51.
It'll be interesting. That first caution we did have, we had a couple of those trucks that went to fix. Oh yeah! Oh, we got all kinds of people trying to get to pit road. Man, it is tough even for our top drivers tonight. They're all struggling to get it lined up, but a bunch of them coming down here on lap 40.
Yeah, Duda just brought in the top 7, so they made it to lap 40. That hands the lead to Terrell Baker. Now I'm starting to wonder if some of the guys that pitted on that first stop can make this a 2-stop race, because Terrell Baker was involved in the crash. I'm assuming he came down pit road for tires and fuel. He's in the race lead. So if he can make it to 43, again, that sets up that last run of the race to maybe, if you save a little bit of fuel, you might be able to cut a pit stop out. I'm not entirely sure. It depends on how this all cycles out. Baker's going to make it to pit road. That got really sketchy in 3 and 4 as he made a hard left turn out of the pits in front of the 12 of Zach Henry. So he went 3 wide for a second there on the front straightaway. Yeah, more and more drivers coming in. These guys staying out. Still, gotta wonder if they're maybe looking at a 2-stop. Hard to tell. The leader right now just got in the wall, but that's the 40 of Nicholas Caressel. Look behind. That's what fresh tires can do. As Jim Duda, and I'm not sure who that is on the outside, but Jim Duda among them, just cutting their way through these drivers that are staying out on track.
Yeah, and I have
to Lewis Woodall.
I have to wonder if the strategy of essentially running it out of fuel now, assuming this race goes green to the end, everyone's going to have to make the same number of stops. So these guys that are essentially running it as far out as they can, I'm wondering if the strategy isn't to just be able to go that much harder once they have pit and make each dent a little bit shorter. That way they can kind of get more out of the tires over less period of time, Ross.
Yeah, and I think we look at that first run. That first run had that caution in it, so that's where these guys not only were able to top off, but be able to go the extra couple laps because we were running under caution. So you're going to have a shorter run on this green if it stays green. So when this strategy here, I think it's maybe more of a tire play, or even just if you can run a little longer the next time, maybe you catch a caution at the right time. You got a couple drivers here, previous winners with Elliott Henderson and Zach Henry. They're both on pit road now, so lap 44. Both of them, the best chance for them to maybe go get back up there and try to contend for a win.
Whoa, trouble, pit road.
Strategy.
Lewis Woodall on the 13 is around. He was coming down pit road behind the 40 of Nicholas Caressel, locked it up. That Pepsi truck went for a spin. No harm, no foul. We stayed going. But that is going to be the last two drivers that needed to come to pit road. So lap 44, the longest that anyone could go. That'll hand the lead over to Christian Peterson, with Will Barbagelata cycling out into second. But yeah, the 13 truck just got a little bit sideways entering pit road, locked it down, and spun. Now we are looking at the 27 of Will Barbagelata. He came in, let me just check this real quick, 10 laps ago, so he's on quite the undercut right now. Peterson, by contrast, came in 5 laps ago. And if we look for our previous second-place driver, Jared Duda, he's all the way back in 10th, but he came in 4 laps ago, so he's got 1 lap fresher tires. Actually, that's kind of interesting to me. I'm not sure what happened there, because Christian Peterson is entering turn 1, while Jared Duda hasn't even hit the start-finish line yet. So that is quite the lead by Peterson with only a 1-lap undercut. I wonder if he took 2 tires? Ross, do you have anything for us on that?
Yeah. Everybody did take 4 tires. I will say Christian Peterson did a great job. Fastest on pit road as far as from timing line to timing line of anybody in the top 10. A few people that maybe had a second or 2 extra on pit road. Sometimes we saw all those guys sliding into the entry, so that sometimes messes up your whole rhythm and can lose you a second or 2 on track. But yeah, Christian Peterson just nailed that, and now with the freshest tires in the top 5 and leading, is going to be able to really extend that lead this run here.
Yeah, I guess that shows you why execution is so important, because Jared Duda left that run with a 1.8 second deficit. Well, now that deficit is it's 8.5 seconds. So definitely important to execute on pit road. Peterson is showing us that. Slow truck front straightaway. I'm not sure who that is. I believe, okay, this is 29 of Paul Witt. He might have gotten the wall out of turn 4. No harm, no foul. Nobody else was collected in that. Now we're taking a look at the 26 of Ashton Lawson fighting with Trent Curtis. Remember, Trent Curtis came in way earlier than most of these drivers he's battling with right now. He's been on these tires for 15 laps. So about compared to Ashton Lawson, 3 laps older than Heller behind him, but then about 8 laps older than Matthew Weeks in 8th. So we'll see how this cycles out for Trent Curtis, as now Weeks is looking to get around the 11 of Chris Heller. Duda going to follow him through on the bottom.
That's one thing about this very mixed pit strategy that can kind of help or hurt the racing, is some of these guys are so faster than others that there's really not a lot of races to be made. You're going to see this group, well, they might struggle just a little bit here, but you're going to see this group get past Trent Curtis fairly easily, as Heller's probably getting held up on the top lane. But Trent's push just a little bit higher and kind of let everyone go. But now it just kind of becomes, to me, it almost becomes like a road course race. Now these guys are, there's only a handful of drivers who are on the same tires as you, and we're racing them. Everyone else is either obviously faster than you or obviously slower than you. Just kind of the way that I'm looking at it from up here, guys.
Well, I'd say that's true to a point, although there are definitely a couple of considerations when you think about that. For example, Ashton Lawson is on 5-lap older tires than Matthew Weeks.
Well,
he's on older.
I guess that's all.
Oh, we have a
now
caution.
because the caution's out.
Caution's on track. I'm trying to figure out where it is. Looks like it was
Maybe
the back
Brent
straightaway.
Kingcut?
Yeah, Kingcut is slow, and it looks like, yes, he got turned in 1 and 2 by the 41 of Nathan Jump. Taking a look at a replay now. We'll give it a second to load up. Happened at a turn number 2. I believe it was another case of mixed tire strategies, just judging by closing rates. We'll give it a second here. We'll ride on board with Brett Kingcutt looking back. That's the 41 Nathan Jump in that dark gray and yellow Ford F-150. Jump gets to the right rear quarter panel, tries to go high, but just makes a little bit of contact with Kingcutt. Around goes the 5 into the outside wall, and that brings out our second caution of the night.
Kind of one of the more surprising yellows we've seen. I didn't think the Brent Kingcott was sideways enough for iRacing to kind of trip it, but I guess the race control knows a little bit better than I do.
Yeah, I can confirm that was an iRacing yellow. I don't see anything in the chat about an admin throwing it, so we are an iRacing controlled thing. Take another look at it there. Jump just turns the 5 around. 5 catches the wall. Not too much damage, though. Kingcutt should be able to continue. Meanwhile, up front, the field is coming to pit road. Rod Fasnaugh stays out to get the wave around. Everybody else is coming in for tires and fuel. The real question is if anybody will gamble, try and get some track position with 2 tires. Ross, over to you.
Yeah, it looks like as they all pull into their pit box here, I'm thinking you're going to want to take 4 tires here. We'll see what some of these guys are doing. It looks like maybe the 40 truck of Caressel is staying out. We'll see how that if that works out or not. He was one of the later guys to pit on that last green run.
Peterson overshot his box slightly. Meanwhile, there are a handful of drivers who have decided to take 2. Tony Manji among them, along with Will Barber. Actually, they might not have taken 2. They might have been on 4. But Barber Gelada and Tony Manji definitely gained a couple of spots there on pit road, so good execution on their parts. Meanwhile, Christian Peterson was kind of bailed out of a bad situation. He overshot his box just slightly, but was able to get back in line very quickly and still wins the race off pit road. He is still your race leader. To your point, Ross, yes, Nicholas Caressel and Lewis Woodall were the 2 drivers that stayed out. Keep in mind, they both pitted on lap 44, so they had the freshest tires of anybody that was still running on track.
Yeah, just to add to the incident that brought this caution out, the 5 of Brent Kingcott, he had mentioned not very happy with the 41. We've seen some aggressive racing out of the 41 and Nathan Jump tonight, and he said that he just didn't give him a chance to catch it. Was a little disappointed. I think the words "plowed through me" was uttered. So I'll be the other side of that. We didn't hear much out of Nathan Jump, so maybe just moving on and maybe he has a different story. I'm not sure, but
well, at first my instinct was to say that it was probably a mistake. Interesting that Nathan Jump wouldn't choose to say anything though, so I wonder if maybe it was less of a mistake than I thought, but I assume, I don't think there was anything that he did wrong there. I think that Nathan was just trying to get around the outside of Kingcutt. He tried to move high, he just couldn't get out of the way in time, and I think the closing rate might have been faster than anticipated. Definitely not an ideal situation for Nathan, but I can't imagine that he intentionally turned the 5. Unless, if we want to put our conspiracy hats on and say he was trying to get a caution to bail him out, I don't know. Probably not. I can't imagine that'd be the case. But, yeah. I don't think that's the case. So we are working lap 54 here, a little bit under halfway. One thing I want to bring to our attention is that the sun is starting to set here over the Chicagoland Speedway. You can see turns 3 and 4 there, pretty deeply in shadow. Meanwhile, on the front straightaway, you can kind of get the that blinding effect that the sun sometimes gets. So visibility maybe being impacted a little bit here, as well as track temperature is going to be going down as the sun does. So Ross, Jeff, what kind of effect is that going to have on the racing?
yeah, I think you're gonna potentially have maybe we talk about it the first couple laps you can somewhat go wide open here and run the bottom. Maybe that gets that part of the run gets extended a little bit with some cooler temperatures. Otherwise, I still think you're gonna have these moments of 2, 3, 4 wide racing that this track has tended to us so far tonight. It's been great to see.
I think it'll definitely bring the field closer together. Just taking a look at the weather report real quick. Right now we are working 80 degrees ambient. That's projected to drop by about 1 degree Fahrenheit within the next hour. So by the time this race is over, the air is going to be a little bit cooler, not much cooler. The track right now was 86. It just fell to 85. So under caution, the track cooling down a little bit, but I imagine that as the sun goes down, the track is going to cool down as well, and probably a little quicker than the air does. So we're going to see a cooler track here as we get ready to restart this race. In a sense, we've kind of reset the race, right? Because everyone is pretty much on fresh tires, save for the top 2, which are on somewhat fresh tires. They pitted about 10 laps ago. we're kind of back where we started. So lap 55 of 125. Pace Truck is in now. Caressel and Woodall, your top two. Here we go again into the Geico restart zone, and Nicholas Caressel is on the gas. We're back underway from Chicagoland. Not a very good restart by the 13. That's going to stack up the outside line just a little bit. You can tell Manji looked at a move to the outside, decided better of it. Not too many takers for a 3-wide move in the back. In fact, everybody going to stay 2 wide as we go down the back straightaway. Manji again thought about a move to the inside, thought better of it. Couple of drivers fanning out towards the middle of the field into turn number 3. Here comes Peterson looking to the outside of Caressel. Caressel trying to push him up the track. In fact, he will. Peterson not able to get the run. Tagged the wall just a little bit, but he is still going to get side by side. Back to the race lead goes the 71 truck. Meanwhile, we are 3 wide racing behind. Ashton Lawson all the way up to the outside. Staggered 4 coming off the corner. That was close. Great move by Ashton Lawson, as up front, Nicholas Caressel is taking a shot at the 71. Caressel on old tires is going back down the inside of Christian Peterson. He is going to try and take the lead back for himself. Lawson nearly squeezed up into the wall behind. It is all kicking off here at Chicagoland. Side by side to the lead. Watch for Barbagelata as we go back to turn number 1. 3 trucks under a blanket. Nicholas Caressel is putting up one heck of a fight on old tires.
Yeah, I would not have pegged this at all from that 40 truck of Nicholas Caressel. I thought he was done. But we've seen the 13 of Lewis Woodall. He's already fallen back to 8th. He was on the same tires, but the 40 is making the 71 Christian Peterson work for it. And he's actually, he's probably not going to lead. He's not going to lead at the line here, but he is still holding strong. And he is making the 71 work a little bit harder than he probably expected. And who knows what that's going to mean as this run goes on.
Yeah, Christian Peterson not really having an easy time like I'm sure he would have liked with the 40 of Caressel, but I think Caressel knows that from his point of view, he needs to protect this track position because he needs to be up here as long as he can so that when the tires sort of even out between the new rubber and the old rubber, he's not deep in the field. Meanwhile, Will Barbagelata is looking 3 wide up the middle. He almost found a gap. Peterson cut it off at the last moment. That was close. That is going to bring in Matthew Weeks and Ashton Lawson behind. Look at Lawson all the way up to the high side, trying to find some clean air on that 26. Caressel up the track. Now Weeks underneath him. Lawson gets the wall. He's slow out of turn number 2. Now Tony Manji going to push Matthew Weeks on the inside past the 40 of Caressel. So that pink truck is moving backwards as Weeks and Manji move towards the front of the field. Peterson finally able to get clear out front. And unfortunately for Ashton Lawson, trouble off turn number 4. Couple of trucks sideways on the front straightaway. Everybody keeps it going. The 29 got in the grass. That's Paul Witt. He went for a ride. Now he's going to stack up the bottom lane and force Henderson and Jump to take evasive action. My goodness, it is getting chaotic here at Chicagoland.
Well, if it wasn't for chaotic
Almost
racing
too much to
here
keep
in
up with.
GLR, I don't think we would have any sort of racing, Ross.
Yeah, it's awesome to see the first couple laps with Caressel being able to hold Peterson back, just kind of stacked up everybody, and it seems like now we've got the top 6 kind of spreading out a little bit, but it just takes forever for the rest of the pack to do the same because we got some great racing here. It looks like Heller and Duda battling for 7th, and Madalena's just right behind them. So it's just awesome to see.
Yeah, I apologize if my commentary was a little all over the place there. There was so much going on, I could barely keep track of it. Now Chris Heller nearly getting up into the left rear quarter panel of Jared Duda. He's able to keep it off him with Madalenas now charging from behind. Madalenas was one of the drivers that went a little bit longer on that first stop, and unfortunately because of that caution, now he's stuck back in traffic, whereas before he was fighting up inside the top 5. So now he's back to 9th. Gavin Fitzgerald, give a call to him after a strong run last week at Watkins Glen. He is once again fighting toward, oh well, actually he might be a lap down. I might have to take... Oh, no, he's not. He's at 11th. There we go. So Gavin Fitzgerald having another strong run after a good run last week at Watkins Glen. My apologies. I didn't see him on the ticker there right away. He's got a push from Jared Darling down the front straightaway. Unfortunately, though, he is getting passed by the 49 of Shane Neiswanger, who up the inside, wrapping that white line, is going to take away the 11th spot. But Fitzgerald, a good run for him.
Yeah, and also give a shout out to our boy Hunter Brittle. He's sitting in there. I hadn't noticed him running the top 2 in the race, but it seems like he came out on the good side of that pit strategy, kind of get track position. So good
Yeah.
moves there by that 10 truck.
Yeah, if you catch a caution early, an undercut definitely well-timed can be a big advantage. Nicholas Caressel, meanwhile, he just got passed by Jared Duda for 6th, but I do find it interesting that Caressel really not losing much because of that tire disadvantage. He is holding strong inside the top 10, and I think those lap times are just about starting to even out. Big gaggle of trucks behind. You see Austin Moore and Gavin Fitzgerald in that mix, as well as Terrell Baker. Baker on the high side looking to get a run on those two drivers in front of him. He's got a nice run down the front straightaway. He's going to stick with 14. Never mind. He's going to go to the high side.
Oh,
3 wide into turn number 1. Nearly contact. Moore now stuck on the bottom. Terrell Baker ripping up against the fence. Looking to get 2 for 1 here. I think he's going to get him. Yes, sir. He gets around the 14 of Fitzgerald and the 91 of Austin Moore. Now he pulls up on the back bumper of the 1 of Jared Darling.
I don't think it was
So
possible.
good move by Terrell Baker.
There are some drivers that are just riding the iRacing equivalent of the cushion here. 14 last lap by, he got a little bit under the wall off for PCB, get high and kind of make that move, and then the 14 and the 91 made contact, and I thought for sure it was game over. But this just seems to be one of those races where these guys can really pick on each other a little bit harder.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like these guys are starting to flirt with disaster a little bit, so to speak. They're getting closer and closer to the outside wall. It's starting to bite some of these drivers, especially as the handling goes away on some of these trucks. I say that, everyone immediately goes to the bottom, so thanks, guys. But, yeah, definitely a lot of lines at play, and it seems like the closer you get to the wall, the better run you can get down the front straightaway. So we're watching Austin Moore right now. He's got a battle in front of him with Jared Darling going around the outside of Nicholas Caressel. Once again, Terrell Baker, the highest driver on track, getting all the way up against that outside wall. He gets around Caressel as well. Spencer Owens does too, so I might have to take back what I said. I think Caressel starting to pay the price for staying out under that last caution, but still inside the top 15. So not, oh, you got a little loose there. That's going to stack up Lawson and Matt Durr. Caressel really not doing me any favors here for commentator's curse. He is moving backwards quite quickly.
Yeah, though I think the 40 has done good to hold on as long as he has, but I think there was going to come a point where these guys were just going to have the advantage. As you can see, he's trying to, he's driving the wheels off of it. He was trying to hold on as long as he can. Now I think it looks like he's just going to, well, I thought he was going to start conceding positions, but he's still trying to hold it over the bottom here for 3 and 4, Ross.
Well, we have lost Ross. Ross had to go, so it's just us now, Jeff. But yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like Caressel is starting to pay the price now. He was driving the wheels off it. Seems like he might have driven the tires off it. They're 3 wide again into turn number 1. That's Henderson and Nixon on his outside. Really, this mid-pack is still just about as packed up as it was at the start of the run. Michael Senzi, you saw him there, sliding just in front of the double. Oh, contact! Car in the wall. Gavin Fitzgerald got put in the wall by Zach Henry and got a little bit sideways into turn 3. That'll stack up DuPont and Michael Senzi. They nearly touched in the middle of the corner. They all kept it clean and green, though, so good job by everybody to keep it out of harm's way. But unfortunate for Gavin Fitzgerald, who is starting to move backwards.
Yeah, I think the 14 might have used up a little too much good on his tires early in the run. And take a look at that 37 riding in P24. He was involved just kind of tangentially in first caution. We saw the 31 kind of get loose off too and door him really hard. It looks like the 37 is not that much worse for the wear as we've kind of progressed through this. Probably took a little bit of time to get his feet back under it. Now as the track cools off and kind of tends to lean, seems to move back towards the direction of a lot more on throttle time. It seems like that 37 is starting to fire. Top 25 eyeing the top 20.
Yeah, for sure, Jeff. It's definitely been a good comeback drive by Elliot Henderson. He's been able to come back from adversity earlier on, and he is, like you said, just around that top 20. We'll keep an eye out on that and see how it progresses throughout the race. Meanwhile, we've got a pretty good battle here going on for 13th. Spencer Owens holds that spot provisionally, but he's got Austin Moore and Ashton Lawson looking to take it from him. In front of them, Terrell Baker is still as high as he can get against that outside wall. That might be starting to eat up his tires, though, because the cavalry is coming. Spencer Owens and Austin Moore, while they battle each other, are gaining on that 8/25. I think you might be running the wrong number this week on that 8 truck.
Yeah, we were
See
used
more
to
there still hanging strong on the bottom. I think it's definitely starting to speak to the advantages of running different lines. We'll see what everyone does in 1 and 2 here. Austin Moore again to the high side. Spencer Owens does as well. Darling on the bottom. So we're kind of starting to see as the tires wear out, drivers starting to fan out just a little bit. In addition, I think as the track cools down, tire wear is going to be less of a factor. These guys might feel a little bit more freed up to experiment with some different lanes. Battle up front, Jared Duda takes away the 4th spot from Tony Manji, who gets really loose coming out of turn number 4. That lets the 6 of Jackson Sims get to his outside. So that battle going to continue down into turn 1. Manji tried to shut the door, but Sims already had a nose in there. Manji, though, going to clear easily through 1 and 2 and slide up in front of the 6 truck.
Yeah, kind of looking around the track as these guys are starting to find their kind of sitting out. Kind of getting the feeling. I don't know if they've seen kind of getting that as the track is cooling off fairly quickly, that these guys are kind of having a new handle on the truck sneak up on them. Seen a lot of guys, a lot more than I was noticing earlier in the race. Seen a lot of guys get loose on corner exit, and I think that might just be a byproduct of the track getting cool and slick as the sun goes down and as we get ready to turn the lights on here in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, these track conditions are always changing, and I think we also see that reflected in the running order. Christian Peterson has been leading pretty much this entire race, but Barbagelata, Weeks, Duda's been up front for pretty much the whole race as well, but Barbagelata and Weeks, they weren't running as close to the front as they were, or as they are now, but definitely as the track conditions change, different drivers kind of come into their element. Here comes Matthew Weeks, just as we were talking about him. 4th second, he's going to move to the inside on Will Barbagelata. And I think he's going to have that pass done into turn 3. He's going to take the bottom, and yes, he does. He is clear of that 27 truck. So move Matthew Weeks up into P2.
Yeah, I think you saw the 27 truck in a very, very earnest run at keeping up with or passing the 71 earlier. At the beginning of this run, when we kind of seen 71 get held up, and I think that he probably burned up a little bit of the good on those tires. I think we also saw Matthew Weeks. He kind of showed early in the race he was really good at that into long run pace. So it'll be interesting to see if Matthew can make any progress in chipping away at Christian Peterson's. My gut at this point in the race, assuming you don't get any more cautions, this is probably Christian Peterson's race. Had the pace all night. And, really, as soon as I say that, it looks like Matthew Weeks dropped a 10th out of his lead that last lap. So I stand corrected. It's anyone's race, Jonathan.
Well, I definitely think that Peterson has been the dominant factor so far. I wouldn't blame you for picking him to win this race, but cautions are always a factor, especially with these drivers staying so bunched up. And in fact, I want to bring our attention back to Terrell Baker. Remember earlier on in the run, he was running all the way up against the wall as hard as he could. He is starting to pay the price for that now. He had a big moment out of turn 2 a couple of laps ago where he got loose in front of Ashton Lawson and Austin Moore. They took him 3 wide. Terrell Baker is committed to running that outside line, but we might see here out of turn 2 and really in the middle of the corner, that thing is wicked loose.
Yeah, look at it.
Oh, trucking the wall, yeah. Yeah, that was Spencer Owens who caught the wall out of turn number 2. That stacked up a couple of trucks behind him. Everyone was able to navigate that situation effectively, but I think we're starting to see the dangers of running the outside line as the tires start to wear. Seeing it with Terrell Baker, and we saw it just there with Spencer Owens.
Yeah, you saw Terrell Baker, Spencer Owens, really all the trucks that were kind of in a line right there, even the ones that were on the bottom, seemed to push a lot more off the corner than I expected. I think that's just kind of a testament to how quickly this track is changing. Going off my limited knowledge of iRacing's weather system, it seems pretty realistic that the track temp is going down very fast. The air temperature is still going down marginally. Got a little bit of clouds moving in. So all these different factors playing into how these trucks are handling, and it definitely seems to be causing maybe some of these guys, just to a degree, they're kind of searching around the track looking for the ideal lane. You see Lewis Woodall making a good move there, kind of splitting it wide. It looked like the 13's a lap down, so he must have had a pit stopper.
Hit it, yeah. I think he probably had to come down pit road after he was running on those old tires for so long. So I think at this point he is pretty off cycle. I can't imagine that he's really still in this race, so he's going to need a miracle to get back in it. But to your point, the track is definitely changing quickly, and I mean, from day to night, it really favors different drivers and different drivers' abilities. I think that there's some drivers that they fare well when the track is really gripped up and there's a lot of speed in it, but other drivers fare better when it's a lot slicker and when it's a lot hotter out. So we'll just have to see how that plays into the hands of these competitors out here. I think we're going to see a lot of shakeups in the midfield, especially because, I mean, once you get to the front of the field, there's a lot of drivers that are kind of just good at everything. Whatever you throw at them, they're going to be fast. But in the midfield, I think drivers get a little bit more specialized. So we're riding on board with Terrell Baker here. Once again, he goes right to that outside wall in 1 or 2. If nothing else, I think he's having a lot of fun out here.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the tracks like this that back in the rock setup and all that, just kind of lending itself to you guys having a little bit of fun, even if it means they aren't necessarily racing every lap. I think these guys be able to lean on each other pretty hard all night, push the trucks pretty hard, while still being able to kind of maintain a sense of respect, I guess I would say, which is something we might not have seen a lot of earlier in the season. Definitely kind of showing tonight as we're at a track that is lending itself to letting these guys just kind of run their own race, really wherever they want, as long as it's not on the apron.
Yeah, I mean, people love Chicagoland. This is always a favorite track to come to, and I think we're seeing that with the green flag running that we have here tonight. But take a look behind. We got a great battle going on for about the 17th spot. It really starts a little bit behind them, but it's just around 17th place. Michael Senzi. Right now, Nathan Nixon trying to get down the inside of Frederick Cremines. He is side by side, or battling as well with Aiden DuPont. So we got a bit of a three-way fight going on here. But give a shout out to Frederick Cremines because he was really not near the top 20 earlier on in this race, but now he is quietly but consistently worked his way up here. So we're starting to see, like I said, as those track conditions change, different drivers kind of coming into their element. Aiden DuPont as well, I haven't talked about him much tonight, but he is battling right now side by side for that 20th spot. That's a gain of 10, by the way, now 11, as Aiden DuPont started in 31st, Frederick Cremines in 36th.
Yeah, just kind of...
DuPont. I was going to say DuPont just looking for a little bit more, too. He had a nice run on the inside of the 50, and now he's looking to get up the inside of Nathan Nixon. So the 33 under fire as well as Aiden DuPont starts to move forward on this run.
Trying to play the role of pit strategist here. I'm looking at the laps doing green. We're 35 laps into this run, not including caution laps for these guys. So I'm wondering, 88, 98. Yeah, we're gonna actually be cutting it really close on whether these guys can make it to the end of one more stop. I think they can. I think we're essentially looking at from when we went green.
Whoa, Nathan Nixon, that was interesting. Nixon just dropped out of the middle lane, got shot in between DuPont and Cremines to bring it down pit road. I can't say I've ever seen that one before, but we have our first... Well, yeah, that really was not a good sequence for the 33 truck, but we have our first pit stops. The 33 of Nathan Nixon and the 51 of Trent Curtis are in. Nixon in a little bit less effectively than Curtis. I think that'll be a penalty for him, but that was quite an interesting move there. Christian Peterson still out on track, although one driver from that lead group is coming in. It's the 11 of Chris Heller. So we have a couple of takers at the front. Makes me wonder if we'll see anyone go for an undercut here, because pitting 2 laps earlier than Peterson will probably get you the lead.
Yeah, I just don't know if you pit right here. I guess you can, kind of given how that first run shook out. But I just don't feel like the numbers work in your favor. What am I looking at here? If it's lap 90, you've got to go to lap 125. So that's a 35, 40 lap run. Now,
we'll find out because Will Barbagelata is in as well. So is Jared Duda. So more drivers are coming in as we continue to watch Jeff Johnson struggle to do math. But
yeah.
Duda is in, so is Barbagelata, so is Jackson Sims. A lot of trucks are in now, so you got to imagine that at this point, they're feeling like they can make it. The real question is, when will the leaders bite? Christian Peterson, he bites now. The 71 truck is in. Matthew Weeks stays out, and I like that call. Matthew Weeks looking to get a little bit of an advantage on the back half of this run. So Peterson is in. So is, let's see here, the white truck behind him. I can't tell who that is. But a lot of drivers are biting now, so it seems like now's the time to go.
Looks like that's the 24 of Tony Manji that's right behind him. And I guess I'll
Yeah,
defer
it's
to the
Manji.
experts, which are going to be the guys on the track. They all must think they could go to the end from here, and they're going to do it. It's going to be a really long run. It's going to be basically another full fuel run as the lights come on and as the sun continues to set here at Chicagoland. And now the beds are made. Matthew Weeks is going to hit pit road with Hunter Madalinas right behind him. So we've got 3 lead trucks all pitting on 3 different laps, and it's going to be interesting to see where they sort out as we see just a little bit of stack up on pit entry. No harm, no foul there.
Yeah, so what I like about this strategy from Weeks is that he wants to have a little bit of a tire advantage over Peterson. I think it's a good call. It's really the only thing he could have done. What I don't like about his strategy is that it's only 1 lap. I don't know if he could have gone any longer, but I personally would have liked to see maybe a 2-3 lap tire advantage, because that's when you get into the territory of really having something over your competitors. But as we go back into turn 1, Peterson is going to far and away take back the race lead, so we'll see if Weeks' advantage can reel back in that 71 as the run goes on. Hunter Brittle is in from the race lead. That'll promote Dylan Poteet to that top spot. Ashton Lawson is in as well. Looks like everybody is coming down pit road, so nobody can really go that much longer, it seems, than that 71 of Christian Peterson, who is going to pull out a big lead here coming onto the front straightaway. Matthew Weeks is going to be just about, we'll have to see how far down he is once everything cycles out, but by my estimate, it's about a corner.
Maybe, oh, I see. Dylan Poteet's still on the track. Yeah, it looks like Christian Peterson is going to have about a 3-second lead over Matthew Weeks, and I just don't know that 1 lap pressure tires is really going to help in overcoming that gap. I think Matthew Weeks definitely has the short run speed if we were to get a yellow between now and the finish, which is not uncommon here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. But I do believe if we go green to the end, barring any mistakes or issues on the end of the 71, that he is going to be the one sitting in the catbird seat for this finish.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine that anyone could take this win away from Christian Peterson. He has ran this race almost perfectly. I think Chicagoland's kind of the track that lends itself to that. I imagine Peterson has countless laps here, so he clearly knows what he's doing. He's probably going to win this race, but I like the effort from Matthew Weeks to just try something a little bit different. You can't fault him for it, and I think as long as he gets back up to second place, it will have been worth it. We'll have to see how it plays out. They got 30 laps left to decide it. Weeks now looking at the outside of Barbagelata. Barb's trying to shut the door there, nearly pushed the 50-60 onto the wall, but Matthew Weeks found a gap wide enough to stick his nose, so he is going to have that spot through 3 and 4. We'll see if Duda can maybe follow him through for 3rd. Duda and Barbagelata, they are on equal tires, where Matthew Weeks has a 2-lap advantage on them. So Weeks cycles back into 2nd. He's got 4.5 seconds to your race leader, Christian Peterson. We'll see if he can run it in, but if not, he'll break even. So I think it was a good strategy.
Always going to try, you know? There's no shame in trying, and I think Matthew Weeks, whether intentionally or not, wanted to give it a go. But there's still a lot of race left here. There's still any number of things that could change. Like I was mentioning before, we are not immune to the yellow with 2 laps to go. That kind of set up a crazy overtime finish. And wouldn't that be something if we get all the way to the end of this fuel run and then have to turn this into a fuel strategy race? Looking at the number of pit stops, it looks like basically everyone in the field is going to have 1 set of tires left on pit road. It looks like the 8 of Tyrell Baker sitting in 12th position. He is going to be out of tires if it were to come to that, as well as the 37 of Elliot Henderson running back there in the 26th position. So definitely could still be a little bit of chaos between now and the end as we're watching Jared Duda and William Barbagelata try to brawl for position here. It looks like Jared Duda might have the upper hand for right now. Hunter Madalinas running back in the 5th position. He's had a quiet night since that first green flag run. Just kind of quietly running the top 5 after we started outside the top 10 after the 2nd yellow. Tony Manji in 6th, Jackson Sims in 7th. Can't say enough about Sims' consistency this season. And points leader Chris Heller looking to add another top 10 to his season. And I believe Heller's the only driver this season that has finished in the top 10 every single race. So this would extend that streak for the 11 truck. Jay Nicewanger, Lee Gadman running back in 9th, and Austin Moore rounding out your top 10. He's got TCB hot on his heels.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and if we want to look at a battle for position, first one I see on track is for that 12th spot. Jared Darling looking up the inside of Zach Henry. Correction, that is for 13th. But those two going at it, and I think really that just to your point kind of says that regardless of how far we get in this run, there is always the potential for a caution. So don't count anything out just yet. Darling on the inside of Henry. These two playing pretty nice with each other. Darling has had a pretty clean season so far, and Zach Henry has as well. So I can't imagine that. Anything can't imagine that anything's going to really transpire here, but hey, you never know. Darling still working the inside of Henry, trying to push up just a little bit. Henry not going to have that. He fights back on the outside. So, I mean, as you can tell, these guys are still fighting hard for every spot, even if it's not up front. The aggression is not over.
Yeah, every point matters as we're kind of in the middle of the season here. 10 races and playoffs. We've definitely seen drivers miss out on the playoffs by 1 or 2 points. So every point is going to matter. Every lap is going to matter. That's kind of why we see guys battling respectfully, but kind of aggressively for position this late in the race. Is going to come up pretty almost here in Chicago.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the thing with this truck is that even late in a run, you still have a lot of on-throttle time. So regardless of how you want to race, you kind of have to be aggressive when you're making these passes. You don't really have a choice to lay over. That battle, by the way, might just turn into a 3-car battle. They've caught the 25 of Baker, and Poteet has caught both of them on fresher tires. So Henry gets a little bit of separation from Darling now. As Baker nearly gets the wall, they're going to go 3 wide down the front straightaway. Poteet, a lap down, is not in this mix. Baker going to lose 2 spots there. Darling going to gain 1, but still not able to get around Zach Henry.
At 31 of Dylan Poteet just kind of found himself in a weak spot there. I think he expected to cruise by these guys on the bottom, and then Zach Henry went started to make that move on Jared Darling. So good moves by Poteet to not interfere too much in this battle, even though obviously on much fresher tires, and will probably gap these guys by about 5 seconds here in a hurry once he Zach Henry.
Well, he didn't want to interfere, but he did get to the outside of Henry there. That choked up his momentum on the front straightaway just a little bit. Here comes Jared Darling looking back to the inside. He's got to run through 1 and 2, and he'll have the draft down the back. So this battle is not over just yet. Additionally, Austin Moore is just ahead of them. He ran a tenth slower than both Henry and Darling last time by, so there's still plenty of action here on track. Looking as well back towards the front of the field, that's Jackson Sims we're looking at. He's battling it out with Tony Manji and Chris Heller. Sorry, no, that's Rod Fasnaugh, who is a lap down. So he kind of in a similar position to Poteet. Doesn't want to get involved here, but is still kind of in the mix. Here comes Jackson Sims down the inside of Tony Manji. He's going to drive it off into turn 3, but cannot get the pass done. Manji hangs tough on the outside as they come out of turn 4. Whoa, contact! Between the 6 and the 24, I don't think that was intentional, but things getting a little feisty here between these two drivers with under 20 to go.
Yeah, and I think you can kind of see the 4 of Rod Fasnaugh, the 6 of Jackson Sims. They are teammates. I think you saw the 4. He was trying to give Sims a little bit of a push, a little bit of help. It wasn't really doing anything. And then we saw Sims just kind of get loose on the bottom coming off 4. It looked like he wasn't really expecting it. A little bit of contact. Again, no harm, no foul.
Whoa, contact, turn 4. Rod Fasnaugh got into the side of Tony Manji. They both went up the track. That got sketchy, and again, helps out the 6 of Jackson Sims, although he is a little bit further back now, but classic case right there of 2 different grip levels coming together. That could have been nasty. Luckily, both drivers had the heads-up driving to avoid it. Manji got a little tight out of turn 2, by the way. Here comes Jackson Sims again. He feigned a move to the inside. Now he backs out of it. Now they've got the 40 of Caressel as well, and I believe that's going to choke up the 24 on exit again. So here comes Jackson Sims to the middle. That'll be the outside of Tony Manji as they get to turn 1. With under 20 to go, Jackson Sims is on the charge. Move the number 6 truck up into position number 6 as he clears the 24 on the outside. Jackson Sims gets the pass done.
Jackson Sims gets the pass done. That 6 truck, aside from some incidents on track, has had a very quiet but very good season so far. Just kind of looking at the standings. A little bit of a battle brewing back here From P13 to be the 91 of Austin Moore, the 1 of Jared Darling. Tyrell Baker has actually fallen off quite a bit.
So out of that group, Ashton Lawson does have the fresher tires, but Jared Darling has a 2-lap advantage over Austin Moore. And last time by, actually ran a little bit under a 1/10 of a second slower. So Darling, fresher tires, but has lost a little bit of ground to Moore. As you see him throw a bit of a move there into turn number 3. Drove it in quite deep on the 91. Lawson pulling away from both of them. But this battle for 13th looks like it's just about to kick off. Here comes that bright red number 1 truck to the inside on Austin Moore. Side by side out of turn number 1. Moore's going to have the run on the high side. Darling not able to fight too hard on the bottom. We have under 15 laps to go now, so they've got plenty of time to sort this out. We're riding on board with Austin Moore. Here comes the one to the bottom. Moore kind of running a defensive line in the middle, not super aggressive with the wall, but just high enough to keep that momentum. Meanwhile, in front of them, Zach Henry is making the move on Shane Neiswanger for 10th. So Henry looking after a top 10 here after a disappointing start to the season. Side by side with the 49, they're both loose in the center of the corner, but Zach Henry looks like he's going to have the drive off. What will Lawson do in this battle as well? Going to be 3 trucks under a blanket for 10th as they go into turn 3. Neiswanger puts it right on the door of Henry, but Henry is able to pull away on the bottom, move Henry up into the top 10, and Lawson up into 11th. Lawson moves up to that 3rd lane. We'll see if Henry is going to have enough momentum off the corner to fight it, but Lawson has a tire advantage. Here comes that 26 truck. He's going to feign a move to the high side and commit. He's up to the right rear quarter panel now of Zach Henry. Side by side into turn number 1. Lawson on the outside is able to get around the outside of Henry. Henry gives him a little bit of a squeeze off the corner, but Ashton Lawson is going to pull out in that 10th spot. So move Ashton Lawson up into the top 10.
Yeah, this late in the run, it's weird to think that that 1 lap difference on tires might be the difference maker between the 26 and the 12, but that just might be it in the closing laps of this race. Is now Ashton Lawson about a second behind P9 of Chris Heller. He's gonna, well, he was about even with Chris Heller that last lap. So how much faster can he line this lap? And maybe just go up there and pick off one more spot in the closing laps of this race, Jonathan.
Yeah, definitely not a bad run for Ashton Lawson here after a disappointing last week at Watkins Glen. Good for Lawson to come back out here and get a top 10. Additionally, he already has a win under his belt earlier this season at Nashville Super Speedway, if I'm recalling that correctly. So overall, a solid season for Ashton Lawson. He'll have a nice solid top 10 to add to his finishes after tonight. So just looking through the field, I don't really see too many close battles. Jackson Sims is about 2/10 away from Will Barbagelata for 5th. We'll see if he's gaining. Actually, last time by, Sims was about a 10th faster, although immediately last time by, he was actually maybe a couple of hundredths slower, so pretty close battle there. We'll see if Sims can make any more inroads on that 27 truck. But for the most part, Jeff, everybody has sort of settled into a groove here as we get towards the end of this race.
Laps wind down, I have to imagine a lot of these guys, knowing they're close on fuel and kind of knowing how these races will end if they come to that point, are probably just kind of conceding defeat. And also looking down the field, I hadn't really noticed it earlier in the race, but these guys are almost 3 seconds slower than they were in the opening laps of this run. So handling definitely all factors. These guys really, probably at this point, are just aiming to hold on to the checkered flag.
We do have a couple of battles deep in the field. Spencer Owens is on the outside of Eric Kepf. He is able to take that spot away. Meanwhile, just in front of him, Aiden DuPont, Matt Durr, and Terrell Baker sort of fighting for position. The main battle there is between DuPont and Durr for 17th as they catch the lap truck of Nicholas Caressel. We're going to hit 7 laps to go this time by. DuPont is trying to draft up to the back bumper of that 44. Last time by, he was a little bit slower, though, than Matt Durr.
Up front, it looks like Jackson Sims got a run on the 27 William Barber Gelada. Not sure if Barb just kind of had a bad corner exit or what, but that is going to make this interesting as we're looking at 5 laps to go at the line with a 6 right on the 20.
I gotta say, this is probably the most interesting battle on track. I mean, just as a driver, when you know that that top 5 is in reach, even if it's not that much, really, it's not more points than 6th, it's still, it's a rewarding feeling to walk away from a race knowing that you got a top 5. So Jackson Sims, maybe a little bit of pride on the line here as he tries to run down the 27 of Barber Gelada. We're going to get 5 laps to go this time by, and these 2 purple trucks are still going at it for 5th.
Waiting behind those guys is the 24 of Tony Manji, so if they get to racing for 5th, that could put Tony Manji in position to bounce. All these guys, on essentially the same tires, so really no distinct tire advantage in the closing laps of this race. Looks like the 6 is just kind of holding serve. I think he's fun. Unless the 27 makes a mistake as they're coming up on the lap teammate of Brent Kincott in the 5 truck.
Battle for 17th is back on. Matt Durr got tight coming out of turn number 4. Aiden DuPont was able to use that to his advantage. That 00 truck is now on the inside. Side by side into turn number 1. Durr did this last time by, but got a little bit tight on the bottom. We'll see what he can do this time. He kind of starts in that second lane and drifts down using the banking for a little bit of momentum. He'll hold serve with the 44 coming down the back straightaway. But Matt Durr pulling ahead just a little bit as they go into turns 3 and 4. DuPont this time riding up to that 4th lane, but he's going to get a little tight center of the corner, so Durr is going to hold that spot for now. Good run by Matt Durr, solidly up inside the top 20 as these drivers just picked up 3 laps to go. Back up front, though, Christian Peterson out of turn number 4 is going to pick up 2 to go this time by. He'll hit the line now. That 71 truck has had quite a good season when he's showed up. He had a couple of missteps at Daytona and Kansas, but ever since picking up a win at Bristol, he has been on fire. Top 5 last week at Watkins Glen, and a pretty dominant win today. I believe he's led all but maybe 5 to 10 laps. So Christian Peterson doing a very, very good job. And I believe this is his first Great Lakes Truck Series season. Here comes Peterson to pick up the white flag one more time around for that blue and silver 71 truck. Like I said, it's been an up and down season, but there has been nothing up and down about this race. He took control just a couple of laps after the green flag. Didn't start on pole. That's about the only thing missing from this race for him. So a great run for Peterson. Like I said, he's already picked up a win on the season, but I gotta imagine that this one is gonna feel a little bit sweeter with a pretty clean race, couple of green flag pit stops, a good run overall for the field, but a great run for Christian Peterson. He took off on the green, and now Christian Peterson has landed. Checkered flag is out, and Christian Peterson picks up win number 2 on the season. Matthew Weeks comes home in 2nd. Last week's winner, Hunter Madalinas, backs it up with another podium finish in 3rd. Jared Duda recovers from a rough Watkins Glen to finish in 4th, and Will Barber Gelada holds off Jackson Sims for a top 5. Rounding out your top 10, Jackson Sims comes home in P6. Tony Manji in 7th. I believe that might be his first top 10 of the season. Hunter Brittle behind him comes home in 8th. Chris Heller 9th. And Zach Henry with a strong run finishes in P10. But it is Christian Peterson who wins at Chicagoland. He's going to burn it down on the front straightaway. Win number 2 on the season. And I believe your first repeat winner all year. Hats off to Christian Peterson. Really just a dominant run. I don't think he put a foot wrong all race.
Yeah, no, definitely a good race. Phenomenal execution by the 71. Definitely has to feel a lot better than that Bristol win did. Obviously, Bristol was quite the record of cautions in GLR, so maybe not a sweet win there, but definitely something here tonight here at Chicagoland. Led far and away the most laps. And Jonathan, just a weird note, I caught it coming across start-finish. Ashton Lawson actually ran out of gas in the middle of 3 and 4 and lost about 5 positions coming to the checkered flag. So that bumped a couple guys into the, well, that bumped Zach Henry back into the top 10. I don't think he was really expecting it.
How does Ashton Lawson keep doing this? This is the second week in a row that he ran out of gas. Well, anyways, unfortunate for him. Tough break for Lawson. That's 2 weeks in a row. Things have really not been going his way since his win at Nashville. But Christian Peterson, how about him? A dominant win. I don't think he led. I don't think he missed any laps led under green, other than at the initial start of the race. In fact, he might have even led lap 1. So really a perfect race out of the 71 truck. And when we get a moment, we are going to talk to your winner here. Although right now I don't. Oh, actually I do see him. Am I allowed to rip people out of team channels, or do I gotta wait for them?
If you have the permissions, you can go ahead and grab him.
I believe I do. All right, let's go ahead and bring him up. Oh, maybe not. Try one more time. Yeah. All right. Well, I can't move him, so I guess we just gotta wait for him to finish talking with his teammates.
Let's dial him up. Da-da-da-da. There we go. Oh, wrong room.
There we go. Okay. Christian Peterson, you are joining us in the broadcast booth. A great win for you tonight. You led pretty much every lap. How do you feel about your race?
Yeah, it was good. Somehow managed to get out of the draft there early and then break it again there when we got another yellow, like close to halfway. But just really tried to just hold my tires on it and keep that gap so it wasn't so easy for them to draft up to me. But kind of just tried to be smooth and it worked out.
Yeah, you talk a little bit about the draft. You talk about saving tires. What were some of the keys to being successful in this race?
Like I said, just being smooth, trying to keep the right rear on it. It started to get a little loose there off the corners, like, I don't know, 10, 15 laps into the run. Just try not to race anybody too much. I pretty much stayed on the bottom the whole race. I think the outside would chew the tires up a little bit more, but I'm not sure. I never really traveled up there that often. But yeah, just being smooth and keeping nose clean.
One thing we saw tonight, the sun went down, the track got cooler. A lot of drivers experimented with a couple of different lanes, but you pretty much kept it planted on the bottom. Do you think it was important at all to keep up with track conditions, or was it kind of the same from start to finish?
It changed a little bit. I noticed the tires were wearing more throughout the race. But like I said, just be smooth and yeah, it didn't change all that much. It maybe got a little bit freer and a little bit freer on exit, a little bit tighter on entry, but just kind of be aware of that and not overdrive it.
Yeah, for sure. Christian, it was a great race for you tonight. Anyone that you want to thank for this finish?
Yeah, just my teammates there at Manji Motorsports, Tony Manji and Jared Duda. They do an awesome job. A lot of fun racing with those guys, a lot of fun racing with everybody in the series. But yeah, just all you guys for putting on the show at Great Lakes Racing and yeah, everybody showing up to make a big field.
Yeah, for sure. Christian, we appreciate having you here tonight and taking a little bit of time out of your day to talk with us. Congratulations on the win. We'll go ahead and talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you. And that was your race winner, Christian Peterson. Next, I have Jeff Johnson standing by with Matthew Weeks. I have myself standing by with Matthew Weeks. Matthew, it was a very good run for you tonight. You were able to come home in second place, but you just weren't able to get up to that 71 truck. What was it that made him so much faster than the field, in your opinion?
That I don't know. I thought once I cleared and got to second and got away from some other trucks and had some clean air, maybe I could reel him in the long run. But it's like that last long run, we were just lap after lap running the same times, and I thought maybe if I went the extra lap, I would have the tire advantage towards the end, and I lost more time with that extra lap than I gained. So I don't know. I don't think there's much I could do. He was just on a different level tonight. He was really quick.
Definitely seemed like Peterson was quite fast, but you yourself were much faster than the rest of the field, especially on some of those long runs. What were some of the keys to keeping your tires good and keeping your pace up?
Um, it's one of my favorite tracks, so I know it kind of heats up tires a lot. So my thing was I was just lifting early, and I was real easy just getting on the gas. I probably didn't touch full throttle until I was like pretty much on the straightaway. Just trying not to slide that rear tire and be smooth with it and try to run the same line lap after lap, and that seemed to help more than anything.
You and Christian both talked about the importance of running the same line and kind of being consistent with that, but we saw a lot of drivers kind of experimenting with moving around and changing track conditions. In your opinion, how important was it to keep up with the changing track tonight?
A little bit, because how hard it is to pass in the truck, especially how it was here. You needed to venture out and get that momentum on the outside, and it seemed like it would work some, and then late in the run, it's like it would not help any. So it was about the timing of the run when you wanted to pick the line you wanted to use. So that's yeah.
All right, very interesting. Matthew, it was a very good run for you tonight. You came home in second place. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Shout out to the 2511 guys, man. They brought me aboard this season for my first time ever in this league, and I've been having a good time. We've been running really good. Felt like I could have won Kansas, so shout out to all those guys over there that brought me in, and you guys in the booth, and the guys that run the league. Man, have had a lot of fun racing in here since I've joined, so it's been a good time. And everyone that watched, I hope everyone enjoyed the race. It was fun. And any partners you guys got, I don't know everything about the league all the way yet, but any partners you got, shout out to those guys and everyone that raced. It was a fun race tonight, so shout out to all the drivers tonight too.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely looked like fun from up here in the booth. Matthew, thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. We're going to go ahead and send you back.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
You too. And that was your second place finisher, Matthew Weeks. Finally, Hunter Madalinas backs up his win from last week with a third place finish tonight. I am standing by with him now. Hunter, it's looking like you might be one of the most versatile drivers in the field. You won last week at Watkins Glen. You had a great run tonight and finished in third. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, qualified really good. Kind of put in a lot of effort to get my qualifying runs down for this week. And then I felt like that first run we kind of overdrove, but that tends to happen every first run because you want track position. But I kind of did it a little bit too much, fell back, and then was kind of spending most of the night trying to recover from that. But I was just able to kind of nurse the tires, save them better than everyone else, and then just pick them off one by one to get through the field.
Yeah, both you, Hunter, and also, or not Hunter, sorry, you, Matthew, and Christian all talked about the importance of keeping the tires good at this track. Talk me through some of the important things that you were doing on long runs to really keep your tires preserved.
The biggest thing that was helping was just lifting off earlier, and you just had to be incredibly patient with the throttle. I was turning more with the throttle than I was the steering, so it was down to kind of just managing how easy you were hitting the gas.
Lastly, we saw a lot of aggressive racing tonight, especially earlier on in the race. Some drivers, though, chose to be a little bit more reserved and stay back. How did you make those decisions about when to push, when to race, and when to let other drivers go forward?
Yeah, I kind of what I was basing tonight off of was when iRacing, like the official series, was here last. It was kind of just clean air ever since this oval refresh has kind of been the main priority. So it was the first part of the race was trying to see if I could, get the lead and control the race from there. But after that, it was kind of just preserving tires and just kind of holding position because track position was just the biggest thing here.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a lot of drivers opted for track position tonight. Hunter, it was a great race for you. You came home in third. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just thanks to you guys putting on the broadcast. Thanks to everyone at E95. I know Elliott had some bad luck today, but everyone kind of kept in it and drove their way up to pretty decent finishes. So just thanks to all of them, and we're ready to go on to next week. Hopefully, we're taking the championship lead after this race, and we're going to go on and keep trying to get top fives.
All right, sounds good. Good luck in the rest of the season. We're going to go ahead and send you back.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. And that was Hunter Madalinas, your third place finisher tonight. That's going to do it for our post-race interviews. Let's go ahead and get a full rundown of your finishing results. So coming away with the win, a dominant victory for Christian Peterson after starting second, 105 out of 125 laps led. Very, very impressive drive by him. Second place, Matthew Weeks, another strong run out of the 56, and Hunter Madalinas comes home in third. Jared Duda comes home in fourth after leading, unfortunately, oh, never mind, he got 7 laps led, there we go. 7 laps led after starting on pole. Will Barbagelata comes home in fifth to round out your top 5, and rounding out your top 10 is Jackson Sims, Tony Manji, Hunter Brittle, Chris Heller, and Zach Henry. How about that? Number 10, number 11, and number 12 finished 8th, 9th, and 10th. Very interesting. Next up, coming home in 11th is Shane Neiswanger, followed by Jared Darling. Then behind them, Ashton Lawson, who unfortunately ran out of fuel on the last lap. Austin Moore comes home with a solid top 15 in 14th, followed by Michael Senzi. Terrell Baker, your winner earlier this season at Daytona, comes home in 16th after flirting with the wall all night long. It was a very impressive drive by him. I don't think he actually really got in the wall even once, so hats off to Terrell. Coming home in 17th is Matt Durr, then Aiden DuPont in 18th. Spencer Owens comes home in 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is Eric Kempf. Then at 21st on down, Trent Curtis comes away in the 21st spot. Nathan Jump started up in 6th, ran into some trouble early on and was never able to recover, comes home 22nd. Frederick Cremines comes home in 23rd, followed by Elliot Henderson in 24th, who also got caught up in a wreck earlier on in the race. Paul Witt comes home in 25th, followed by Robin Durr, then Preston Henry. Blair Neabone comes home in 28th, then Gavin Fitzgerald. Tough break for him, was running up inside the top 15 earlier, comes home 29th, and Dylan Poteet rounds out your top 30. 9 more drivers to go from 31st on down. Brett Kingcutt was able to come away with a 31st place finish, followed by Nicholas Caressel, then Lewis Woodall. Rod Fasnaugh comes home in 34th, followed by James Shiflett, Nathan Nixon, then Jim Duda, Evan Snyder, and Adolfo Delgado. I do not believe he ever started the race. He comes home 128 laps down in a 125 lap event, so I think he did not start.